Hello, and thanks for joining us on the podcast that discusses all things gaming. Coming to you from the home of Gen Con and the gaming capital of the world, this is The Established Facts.
What are you doing, Mikey?
I'm not Mikey.
Who are you?
I'm Vorn.
Oh, Lord. What are you doing, Vorn?
Writing a postcard to my brother. Do you know him?
Yes.
I figured you would.
Well, what's it say?
Belgos. You know, I'm not one who asks for help. Ever. But here it goes. You see, I found myself without spells for the day after that battle with Hades. I'm not sure where you went, but I believe that Ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind or forgotten. Belgos, where are you? Vorn.
That was pretty good.
What do you mean it's pretty good? I'm pretty sure it's going to win.
Well, you can't submit that
Why not?
because Vorn is an extension of you.
I don't even know that guy.
Wait.
Don, we have
Yes.
a podcast to record.
Oh, that's right.
Can we kind of speed this up?
We have a podcast?
Yes, Mike, we have a podcast at www.theestablishedfacts.com.
Oh. Bonus! Hello, everybody, and I'd like to welcome you to the Established Facts. Today, we are sitting with a table full of people, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We're going to start over here with Big Don.
Big Don in the house.
What's up? This is KC.
Hey guys, it's Derek.
I know you've all missed me. This is Rygar.
I know you probably haven't missed me. This is Josh.
That's true.
That's very true.
And you always have your token female. This is Dr. Deb.
The doctor is in.
I just have to make a statement, Casey. You sound much better without the Big Lots microphone. Just thought I'd let you know.
Yeah. It's definitely an upgrade.
Okay, so we are joined with Casey from Danger Brewery, and of course we have Derek back local, away from the moose, where the moose roam. And good Lord, Ragar, I don't even know where the heck you've been, but it's great to see you.
I'm glad that you crawled out of your rock, out from under your rock to join us today.
I've been doing a bunch of world, travels. And
Oh yeah, definitely.
nothing crazy.
Sounds like a viable MMO excuse.
We agree.
Visiting Azeroth.
I hope at least you're at max level, or at least farming gold.
Exactly.
Enjoying the Brewfest.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
So, on the Established Facts today, we are going to discuss wargaming. So we are going to talk about when you do war games, do you prefer it as a board game such as Risk, the War Game, Axis and Allies, or do you prefer your wargaming on a console like Modern Warfare or any of those Rainbow Six games or any of that other tomfoolery that goes on the consoles that are war game based? So we're going to jump around the table here and just let the panel give their opinion. We're going to start over here with the doctor.
I am a board game, war game person.
I am a console, specifically PlayStation 3.
That's a tough one. I'm going to have to lean towards consoles.
Consoles.
I'm going to say consoles right now.
Well, it sounds like there's a brave majority of console players. Though
Careful what you say.
Hey now, I enjoy.
Sitting on the fence.
Sorry.
There's about to be a revolt.
I hope whoever wins the villainy tournament kicks the ever-loving poo out of that red and blue plumber. That's all I have to say.
It's me, Mario.
I'm going to have to say board gaming.
And I will have to agree with you, Donald. When I do my wargaming, I enjoy it on a board game. So, I can't even not start with the doctor, based on her experience with the war game. Dr. Deb, why is it that you enjoy wargaming on the board?
Well, by definition, the word war implies that you're going to have a big group of people that is going to duke it out with another big group of people. And on your console, you usually don't get that, at least. It's usually your first-person shooter kind of style. Sometimes it's, maybe it's a third person, but you're still kind of in your own little world. You have your little mission and you're doing it. Whereas if you experience it in a board game scenario, you're looking at big countries and the whole coordination of nations going up against nations. Whether you're in Risk and you're the blue versus the red, or if you're in Axis and Allies and you're the Axis versus Allies, which goes over into the war game as well. You can look at it in a big strategic picture. You can have, the land battle and the sea battle, and you're coordinating all this, and you feel like you're, this 4-star general kind of moment of, okay, when am I going to have my big push? I'm going to coordinate all this. I like that idea. That's what war study to me really is, and that's what you can get into in a board game. Then I don't see it at the same level on a console.
Derek, you like console wargaming. Why is it that you like console wargaming over board gaming?
I like the more individualistic view of the war games instead of the high-level general view. I like to actually get down in the dirt and go and shoot people.
Well, that's fitting.
That makes total sense.
It's going to be helpful.
Yes.
I see a future in this for you.
I think so. I think I got what it takes.
The few. Wait, that's the wrong group. Sorry, it's not the few, the proud. Sorry.
No. It's and because I think that it's a lot more. It's a lot less detached. I think that I can really feel what the war. I can't just say what it's like, but I mean, I can at least simulate what war is like as best as anybody can with a first-person shooter like Call of Duty and that sort of thing.
Josh?
Well, I'm going to actually put a little bit of a defense in here, and it's not because I'm a fan. Personally, I'm not a big fan of real-time strategy games, but I am going to stand up for consoles on this one and throw in the PC to that element as well. Because nowadays they're all very on similar levels. Your consoles, all three of them, and the PC are all kind of on the same level. So you're going to see more things like your StarCrafts and your other real-time strategy games. I don't know very many of them because I don't play them. Are going to show you that more overhead God mode view, as it may be, that you get from a board game. Me personally, I'm kind of like Derek in terms of I like it from the first-person view, but that's also because I can't believe I'm saying this. I have the similar thought. If I want to play a war game, it's not necessarily because of the war aspect of it. It's purely the release of aggression aspect of it. I'm never the type that would actually go out and fire a bunch of guns, but I'll gladly do it on a console. So,
I think we have discovered an inner rage within you.
Rawr.
I think we have definitely discovered an inner rage in there.
I agree.
His inner rage kind of sounds like a cuddly kitten, though.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, I wish I had more time to develop that and bring it out, but oh well.
Donald, save us.
Oh man, you've gone to Donald to save us?
It's getting serious.
We'll never come back.
Save the cheerleader, save the world. Save
Yes.
the fat man, save the world.
Oh,
Why do I need saving?
It's also true.
He's just got to run faster than you.
It's
Yeah,
true.
that's
I'll
true.
just trip you.
That's really not that
I'll
hard to
fight
do.
dirty. I would have to say the highest contributing factor of why I like board game board game wargaming over console wargaming. Not that I don't enjoy a good console game. I am as I have said before, I'm a huge Halo fan, and I enjoy a good game of Call of Duty, though I don't like it as much as a lot of the sci-fi war games and first-person shooters. Because to me, and I think this will be something we get into later, to me there is a separation that I can make when there is because I am okay with actually going out and physically shooting a bunch of guns and doing it in
Amen,
real
brother.
life. And I don't have to vent that frustration through a video game. That when I sit down to play a video game, I want to enjoy my experience, and I want there to be some fun twists and things like that. If I want to go out and shoot an M1 Garand or a Colt 1911, there are places you can go to do that. And not to say that there's anything wrong with wanting to do that through a video game source, because it's a $60 game is much cheaper than a Colt 1911. But I feel like when I sit down to play a war game, when I have the mentality that I am putting my massive army against your massive army, I want to physically see that army. I want to be able to sit down, and that's really, even though I have very little experience playing it, playing the war game with Deb and playing Axis and Allies, I really enjoy being able to sit down and see my infantry units and my artillery units and and all of my naval units, and moving them in a way that can drastically affect what's going to happen for the next hour that it takes people to play one turn. The other spin on this that we haven't really talked about when it comes to wargaming is I'm also very familiar with miniature wargaming, like War Machine, like Warhammer, like Mage Knight when it was big, and I know WizKids just came out with a board game for them.
Or HeroClix.
HeroClix is another good one. I really like individual unit based games as well. So it's a lot of fun to be able to not just move one unit, or not just move like a piece that represents a certain number of units, but also the individual characters themselves, and being able to use flanking maneuvers and higher ground and lower ground and terrain to your advantage. And there's just something about being able to physically touch and experience that and roll the dice and see what the result is going to happen versus somebody who, like on Halo, somebody who may be playing for 24 to 48 hours longer than I have, may be 10 times better at the game than I am. Whereas when he and I sit down at a table, you're on an even plane in the very beginning of the game, and it all comes down to how you play each turn.
Yeah, but there's no blood splatter. What's the point?
There can be. You've never played the war game.
That's true. That is true.
No, that's nosebleeds. That's different.
Whew. There have been some very spirited discussions, let's put it mildly, at Gen Con around the war game table.
As you can see from our recent YouTube video, if you talk to the Jeff Stein.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess when I'm weighing in on a good console or board game when I play war games, I play like PlanetSide, which is a console first-person shooter. It's kind of atypical, meaning that it's an online game, so it's an MMO, but it's an MMO first-person shooter. So you have like hundreds of thousands of people on a server, which encompasses like a continent. And then
So you play the individual unit.
you play the guy, and you have the sniper rifle or whatever gun you have, and then you literally are trying to take territory for your side that you play. And the territory has resources and stuff like that, so you can build tanks and all this craziness. But literally, there is no computer generated enemy.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
it's if you have a tank and I don't have a tank because I don't have the resources, you're pretty much kicking my butt.
Oh wow.
Dust 514 on the PS3's now got that with Eve.
So
Same thing.
It's a really neat concept because it's all grid based. So except for it's done in hexes, so it's all hex based. And as you are exploring and stuff, you have the element of taking territory and expanding and being tactical and stuff like that. But on the same aspect, if I want to fly an airplane deep into enemy territory, I can do that. I can parachute into their land and I can land on their base. I can attempt to take that base. It'll take me 45 minutes of defending that base by myself to take it alone.
Just pull out Sasha.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's a really neat because I'm with Deb that I absolutely love the ability to look at a board game and go, okay, these tanks that are representing thousands of tanks are going to move through here, and just being able to look at it and be strategic. But on the other hand, I've played console games that very effectively have blended the fact that you are being strategic and you get to play the hero.
Okay.
I'm really looking forward to the new Assassin's Creed game that's coming out. And I know it's
my
it's not really a war game, but you are involved in the Revolutionary War.
It's surrounded by the
Right.
Revolutionary
And
War.
one of the big focal points they're having in this is the Revolutionary War, and the main character Connor, I think is what he's going by.
I think so.
Is going to be involved in this, and you're going to witness different battles between the British and the colonists, and you're going to see 500 people shooting each other while you're trying to run around and do your part of the mission. So the consoles are making that a little more realistic as well. You're getting into the middle of the fight. So
It's very neat. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say one style of video game war game that I enjoy, that is more realistic, is flight sims. I mean, I know that's kind of going off the beaten path when it comes to war games, but
Not really.
I really like World War I, World War II dogfighting flight
did you ever
simulator
play
games.
Hawks?
What's that?
The Hawks games that came out?
I didn't.
They're modern day, but the same type of thing.
Oh, okay.
You're flying real jets
Yeah.
in dogfights
Is that
and stuff.
the Warhawk on?
No, it's called Hawk, I think
Oh,
is
okay.
what it's called.
Okay.
Hawk and Hawk 2, I think is what it was called.
Yeah, my brother plays those.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I have not. But that's a different side of the war that that I think is kind of a cool.
Those were huge a number of years back, but I haven't really seen a whole lot of new flight sims.
I think the last one Microsoft released was called Flight Simulator X.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a whole lot more they could do with it. They
Yeah.
they had every local airport in the United States mapped out to the point that you could fly from one airport to the next airport in hundreds of different planes. I mean, they really went all out on this last flight simulator to the point that it's used in training schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So-
I mean that's commercial
That's a different.
airlines.
I was going to
but
say that's
I
a
mean,
different style.
No,
but-
everything from small props up to commercial airline.
No, but what he's saying is like
not
when
really
it comes to
Military.
military style.
right? There is a lot of.
You're not going to
Military
drive
sim.
You're not going to drive a Cessna into the middle of a war.
True.
I hope
Well,
not.
we hope not.
I know.
Yeah.
One would
Whatever
hope
you want
not.
to do. It's
Yeah.
your game.
Tow an ultra glide behind you and just let it go.
Let's take the JSF out and go around the Chicago airport.
Or even with like the new huge thing with the drones and everything. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of
Predator drones and stuff like that.
there's a lot of design space that
Well, you're seeing some of the video games. I know Call of Duty made it a point with the drone aspect of it, where you're on the ground and you're piloting the drone on the
Oh,
ground.
by the way, about that, they when I was at Drill several weeks back, we had somebody that actually piloted one of those missiles. Actually, in the console games, you can pilot a missile and make it
yeah.
explode on people. That's actually quite accurate, is what it said.
Wow.
So yeah.
Intriguing to say the least.
It is. So, what is it? And I'm just going to kind of toss it up here. What is it about the difference between a console game and a board game that obviously ends up in this split? Because obviously, you have the people who love the board game aspect where you're playing pretty much God mode, and you have people who love the aspect that you're playing in a console game where you're running around, dodging bullets and trying to be the hero. So
Exactly.
is it just a
There was some really good mind there.
Josh,
Lost.
Visual aid on a radio broadcast. I know. I got it.
Josh is
Great.
showing us his Matrix move.
Apparently.
those are pretty bad. You
Yes.
should have taken the red pill.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, to pull us back on topic,
Thank you.
Job.
That's why we have Ragnar.
That's why we have Rager.
a lot of times our conversations go into board games versus console games, and the benefit is a social experience. Well, with the way things have developed now, I don't think that's quite the case. I think whether it's a board game or a console game, even if the majority of people seem to be 12 years old, there is a strong social aspect to the game.
12-year-old Japanese kids who are out there making us look really bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I can play all week, and that 12-year-old kid will stomp me.
Yeah, exactly.
So with board games, I think what it comes down to is more the board game itself lends itself to creativity, whereas the consoles lend themselves to simplicity. Not necessarily in terms of the game itself is simple, but it simplifies the rules where you can introduce it to a broader audience. They don't have to spend the time reading or learning how to play that.
I would definitely agree with that. Yeah.
I think it's also a factor of scale, because with board games, you are, like Mike says, you're God mode. You're 5,000 feet above the air. I mean, even with something like HeroClix, you're still managing a team, even though it's maybe a small team of maybe like 2 or 3, or if you're being truly obnoxious, 1, depending on the point build. But I think that there's also I think it's a little unfair because it's also a matter of what is your style of play. I mean, there are god level type of console games, but there really isn't that visceral first person board game that
I think the most the best example I could see for God mode, especially for something like Axis and Allies, is actually is it Supreme Commander. I think is what it's called. Where granted, you're playing mechs and you're designing your power stations and you're doing all these different things, but when you zoom out, there's this giant world that you're controlling, and it can go relatively large in scale. Now, granted, if your computer can't handle it, it will tell you by shutting off. But
You're done.
That's actually one of the few games that I would say was completely designed with the intent that the user has 2 monitors.
yeah,
Because the mini-map pulls out onto the second monitor, and it essentially becomes a 2-monitor interface where you can zoom in on one side and then zoom in on the other side and then zoom back out. And so you can see sections of the map or the whole map and then interact with it on both sides.
but if you are looking for something to work your creative mind, and for those of us that are big role players specifically, your board games are going to give you that opportunity as well to try and test your mind. Test your might. Sorry, it just... Anyways... The idea of being your one tank division is actually more like 100 or 200. Imagining that you, this god over all the game, is taking 200 tanks and saying going that way, and then in your mind you can just imagine these tanks just rolling out and rolling in to try and destroy everything in their way. I can see that there's a visual benefit to that. Personally, I get enough of that in role-playing. I like seeing it visually on the screen.
Yeah, it's at Gen Con and at also at Dragon Con, I've seen them. They're the mech pods. Those are just amazing because they... I mean, as a soldier, you can imagine like you're trudging through the dirt and that sort of thing with your weapon, but as a mech, you actually get to go into what it may seem like a cockpit for a mech, and you see all the different levers and buttons and everything like that. It gives you sort of an immersive feel to it.
The immersive experience.
Yes.
Donald?
I was going to say that, kind of taking a little bit from what Josh said, what I and a little bit different spin when I think of games like the War Game and Axis and Allies and Risk and things like that, where you are above the map. The way that I kind of picture it, not so much and I'm not saying you're necessarily wrong in this description, not so much in like a God mode style, but more of I picture this is what generals do when they are envisioning the tactics that they are going to use and the response that the enemy is going to have. And I usually come at a game with that kind of a mentality, and that's really what I enjoy, is being able to strategize and say, and have that immediate result. Like, I am playing Axis and Allies, and I decide I want to be Germany and the Axis power, which I really enjoy doing that, kind of playing the flip side of that coin.
What, you enjoy playing a villain?
I wouldn't say a villain. I just don't necessarily like to fall into the same heroic category all the time. I like to be able to see what would happen if the results were a little bit different, or if the strategy would have been a little bit different. If you hold your troops back for a few rounds to build up your tanks before you go into Russia instead of freezing your troops to death. That kind of thing. I mean, that kind of thing. Like, and when I look at that kind of a board, and the reason that I really get a lot more out of it is because I can envision it as a strategist. I can say, okay, well, my western border is pretty thin. I need to bring in more reinforcements so that I don't have Japan sweeping in from behind me and taking my Russian front from my west side, because I know I've got allies to the south, but I also need to pay attention to what Germany's doing, because they can build up their tanks really fast. And kind of not necessarily playing that God mode where you're in control of everything, because to an extent you're not. You still have to roll die. You still have to come up with a result compared to what your opponent is doing and what your opposition is doing, and you're constantly responding to that. But you have the open field to look at the entire strategy of the board. So maybe you sacrifice a couple troops on your western front because you know that maybe you're playing Russia and you know that Europe is building up their bombers and they're going to sweep into Germany and blow up some tanks.
You got to hold Leningrad, because if you lose Leningrad, you're going to... Yes, that was for you, Chris.
Yeah, that's
You know
right.
what I mean.
That's right. So I think that is really what I get out of board gaming more than the console stuff. But I think that, again, just like everybody else has said, the console gaming brings a whole different aspect where it's personal. You are now a combatant in that battle, versus being the general. And of course there's RTSs out there where you still play that general type, but I think that's what is really kind of unique about, they are similar games, but they are very different games as well. They kind of bring a different aspect to the war gaming genre. So
it sounds to me, and I'm going to start wrapping up here so we can move on, but it sounds to me that the biggest difference, not in just the physicality of having a board or actually moving pieces with your hand, but it sounds to me like the intel that is available to you as you're playing these games are kind of what derives what type of players you end up with. By what I mean is like Don was saying, if you have the ability to stand back and look at a whole board or a whole console that has a board or a map or whatever and see what each enemy is doing for every turn, you in turn are playing a responsive war. Where if you're playing Call of Duty or you're playing whatever, you see them as they flash up on your mini map and then they're shooting you. So
it's a reactive war.
It's very instantaneous.
It's a matter of who you want to play. If you want to play the squad leader, the soldier, the individual soldier, or the general commander.
See, I still think it's based on what type of information you like to have when you play those games, though. Because if I want to play Halo, I could really care less what the other guys are doing, because my job is just to go kill individual guys. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where if I want to play Risk, I want to know what Deb is doing in South America, because it will become a threat later on in the game.
Yes, it will.
See what I'm saying?
Everybody's going to invade Poland.
Right.
Exactly.
Ragnar, why don't you wrap us up for us?
So I know you're working on cleaning everything up. So I'll just throw this out there as perhaps a future topic. But essentially, what you guys are boiling down to is a micromanagement system versus a macro management system.
Yes.
And it's just a difference in play style, whether you want to control large groups of things or work on the development of systems versus the control of individual units or.
I don't think it's even that. I think it's more along the lines of do you want to. It's a level of immersion.
Mm-hmm.
True, but his statement, though, micro versus macro, can go anywhere, whether it be board games, video games, role-playing games, game masters specifically. Right. Are you a micromanager or macro manager?
Agreed.
So I think I could see both aspects being utilized there.
Right on. Hey, Don.
What's she doing?
I don't know. Hold on. I'll ask her. Hey, Deb. What are you doing?
I'm writing a postcard.
Don, she's writing a postcard.
For who?
Postcards from the dungeon.
Didn't we just go over this with you?
Yeah. What's it say, Deb?
Dear Erican, I really thought that library would put me in someplace useful. However, after wandering around aimlessly for 3 hours, I finally found my way out. And I see the vampire I've been wanting to kill for, well, ever. And when I'm ready to cast my most powerful spell, some random gnome with orange hair turns into a glowing white light of goodness, throws 2 oranges at him, and he was dead. I did nothing. I am coming home now, and I need dwarven ale. Lindario.
That's pretty intense.
It was an intense moment. Do you think it'll win?
No, I don't. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure you can't even submit it.
Well, I mean, I heard what you guys wrote. You still don't think it'll win?
No, Deb. You can't submit it.
Why?
Because it says so in the rules. If you get on www.theestablishedfacts.com, there is a rules tab. You can check it out. You can't submit it.
Sweetie, we have a podcast to finish recording.
We have a podcast?
Yes, we have a podcast at www.theestablishedfacts.com.
Oh.
Bonus!
So, Don, why don't you just tell us what all this craziness is about and why we're having all these postcards?
Well, if you have not heard yet, you still have a couple weeks to submit. I believe when this episode finally hits, there should be about 2 to 2.5 weeks for you to send your postcards in.
Squee!
But you send a postcard into Postcards from the Dungeon, and you can get on www.theestablishedfacts.com, and we have all the contact information for mailing it out, I believe.
Yes, it's all due on October 31st.
Right.
At the post office box by October 31st.
Wait.
It has to be there by the 31st of October.
Right, which means it needs to be at the post office probably by the 29th.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So,
you definitely don't want to mail it through, military mail or anything.
Right.
No. Bad.
So, anyway, you basically, the way that the postcards works, as you have heard, you kind of take the aspect of you are the character, you're in the dungeon, something's going wrong, or something, basically, it could be a dungeon, it can be zombie apocalypse, and you're stuck in the only house with survivors. It can be any situation.
I got a tapeworm.
You got it. Well,
Ew.
I don't know about that.
Sounds a little personal.
From the perspective of the tapeworm?
You can do.
Oh my god, he keeps eating!
You can do walking. You can do Walking Dead style. You're the only person in the hospital alive in a room, and you don't know what's going on. Something like that.
It's a rotten egg and a toast.
That's
I was
right.
just here for
So,
routine. Exam.
My colonoscopy was 5 minutes ago. What happened? So anyway,
This is awful.
you submit your postcards to Postcards from the Dungeon, and what they will do is there are 5 podcasts: Postcards from the Dungeon, The Established Facts, Fear the Boot, and Kickin' the Dice Bags. Players and Masters Edition will be receiving a quantity, and as even as they can, quantity of these postcards. And each podcast will be responsible for going through and reading those postcards and then finding the one
Yes, they're one.
that they like the most. And then we will send all those back in, and then we will open those things up online so that people can read them and vote for their favorite one. And there will be one overall winner. Now, the top 5 get one game of their choice within financial reason, and that is pretty much dictated by Dan from Fear the Boot. And then the ultimate winner gets a prize pack, which I think is technically undetermined because Dan was talking about possibly making it bigger. But from the last time I heard, you get at least 3 additional games on top of the first one, so you get at least 4 games within financial reason. So, I mean, that could probably be like the first 3 Pathfinder books and something fun, or, whatever.
Because the Pathfinder books are not fun.
No, I mean like the 3
Something that
Pathfinder
doesn't
books
make your
and then
brain
something.
rot.
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and make a statement here as well because I was on Masters Cast a couple weeks ago.
Josh,
and
I said no.
I don't care.
You can't submit it.
well,
Are
I
you
can't-
plugging
you can't
something
submit
else?
it.
I'm actually not.
You just
because
plugged Mastercast.
Well, they accidentally put something in their last podcast that I was telling them, hey, this is just for your information only, but it went out, so now it's going to become public from us.
Awesome.
We are actually going to do a postcards special that's going to have
yeah.
our top 5 and read through them so that those top 5 get read on our episode.
And then we will choose the top 1.
And
from
just
those
so
5.
those know you have to listen so you know if you're in the top 5.
That's right.
Aren't all of us supposed to do it?
Huh?
Aren't all of us?
No. We are.
Each podcast is going to pick their favorite one, their best one.
I don't know.
We, the Established Facts,
Are
are going to
breaking
take
rules.
the top 5 that we like and read them all, and then decide on what the best of those 5 is to submit.
Well, that sounds like fun.
Yeah,
It will be.
I think so.
So now the gauntlet's been thrown down for the other 4
Well,
podcasts. Let's see if they can do
We
something
care about
good.
our listeners.
They just need to step it up, is all I got to say.
Especially Masterscast.
I'm just saying. They record like once every 2 months.
I guess if they're that cool, they can do that.
One of
but-
those. I think I'm on one of those podcasts. I don't know. I show up every once in a while.
Yeah, you were on
Yeah, you pop
Players
up and-
this last week.
Yeah, Josh
that's
was
what I
on
like
the
to do.
Masters the
Week before that, yeah.
We are slowly invading them all.
Suck it, Chad.
That'll be edited out later.
It's really quality over quantity.
You
It's really
know,
what it is.
I
Yes.
mean, luckily.
Fortunately, we give them both. We give both
That's right.
quality and quantity. So
Exactly.
I do believe. Don't we have the largest
Yeah,
staff
for the most part, yeah.
the podcast?
I'm
Every
pretty
once
sure
in a
you only
while, they
have-
beat us because they might have 4 or 5, and we might have 3 or 4. But for the most part, standing podcasters, we have a consistent 7 to 8.
And you regularly have a female,
hard
which
to
I'm pretty
pull off.
sure is the only
Well,
one.
no,
Fear the Boot's got one
Boot.
now.
Boot's got a
Fear the
female.
Boot.
Really?
Yeah,
Who is it?
they rotate in.
Julia?
There's a couple 3
I never heard.
females that rotate in. However,
does
you
it-
are the only doctor.
Thank you.
How does it feel, Deb, that you are groundbreaking in the gaming
That's right.
podcast?
It feels amazing, I have to tell you. It's been a long trip to come here, but it's a beautiful
Tells
thing
me
once
we're
I've
gonna hear
arrived.
crap from Dan now.
That's all
He's
right.
probably had
He
his wife
doesn't
on
listen
before.
to us.
Oh, he's too
Oh, that
special.
has to be corrected.
Well, yeah, I don't think anybody at Fear Boot listens to us. So we can
Yes, they
talk
do.
about
Really?
them
Yes,
all
they
the
do.
time.
I think Chad does.
Chad does.
Oh, he does?
As long as you say his name
I love
once
you,
every
Chad.
5 episodes,
Oh,
he listens.
We've said his name at least the last
He was
3
just talking
episodes, I
about,
think.
like, part of the reason he's still in all this is that his ego just kind of keeps, he loves hearing his name. So,
Chat.
That's like a 1-year subscription.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's right.
Wow.
Oh wow, look at the peaks. That's great. Yeah.
I'm sorry we're messing up your pretty graph.
Yes.
I'll fix it.
That's right. He's got a master's degree. He better be able to fix it.
That's right.
Okay, so we're going to move through the rest of the show, and we're going to move into our discussion. It kind of just very handedly wheels off of what we were talking about with the Versus topic, but it's a little more focused on this idea of realism in wargaming. Now, this can be boiled down into a lot of things, as I'm sure we will, and we'll end up in left field, and Jeremy will have to save us and continue to plug us
Wrangle
in.
us
I'll
all
try
in.
my best.
Yeah. But this is kind of a touchy thing for a lot of people because parents don't like to expose their kids to some of this realism. It's kind of a weird thing. It, like I said, it can be boiled down to a lot of things, as in blood splatter on the screen, as bullets. You get shot once, you're dead. That's realism. But it also turns into the realism of strategy, or the realism of camaraderie, or teamwork, or any of this other tomfoolery that you can boil it all down to. So the discussion is realism in wargaming. Casey, you brave soul.
Yeah, I'd like to take the first shot at this, I guess.
That's a groan.
For me, there's I guess there's a bit of a separation when it comes to a level of realism, when it comes to any kind of wargaming or first-person shooter even, because I have absolutely no experience with guns whatsoever. I've never touched a gun in my entire life. The only time I've ever been near one was being near my grandfather's hunting rifles, which were in a locked safe. So when it comes to the realism in a game, I don't care. I could play a game that has very realistic guns and lots of blood and things like that, and that depending on whether it's fun or not. That could be as fun as playing a game with completely wacko guns and fake things and no realism whatsoever. My favorite first-person shooter game is still GoldenEye. And I'm pretty sure that there's not a lot of realism there. I'm guessing with the gigantic heads and the floating bodies and legs that don't move and
Paintball
such.
versions
and
still.
paintball mode and the golden gun and things like that. I don't care. As long as the game is fun, the level of realism doesn't really affect me much at all.
I would really like a whole lot of realism, actually. I would like to get the game where you're in a squad and your decisions as maybe like the squad leader or as just a soldier affect how your squad mates react to you and the things around you. Like if you're pulling bonehead moves constantly, that they would just shoot you, or
You're an idiot.
exactly. Or
Game over.
game over. But if you're doing well and they cover you effectively and that sort of thing, they start talking to you and have it almost be somewhat AI related and have deep characters. Like each of your squad mates have backstories. Like where did they come from? Where did they grow up? How? What are their hobbies? That sort of things. And then
So it's going to have to be made by BioWare.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, if
essentially.
you haven't
Have
played
to.
Mass Effect, get into that one.
Like,
I have not.
Have to.
So I'm going to try to combine both of these ideas, and
You're a
I
brave
think
man.
that's going to be my ideal game.
Jeremy's got his baby ready.
So, going from where Derek is, I think of games like Arma, where they have super realistic environments, and you can go to the point of giving commands to each of the units or creating markers or waypoints. The difficulty that I've always had with games like that is that the controls and the interface are just not designed to keep all of these things in mind. Whereas the games like GoldenEye or Team Fortress 2 or Halo,
Love TFT.
it's a bunch of guns, bunnies, maybe some jumping, and lots of shiny. and they do it really well. What I'd like to see is maybe something with a controller with maybe a couple voice commands or a keypad where you can say, I want 2 or 5, and, initiate some quick commands and give it that realistic interface.
As you were talking, I was just thinking about voice commands. I was like, well, maybe you could actually talk to, with voice recognition as it's going right now, maybe you could actually talk to your squad mates and say, hey, dude,
Get in cover.
It's coming. Like they're slowly implementing it on the Kinect specifically.
Yeah.
It's built for it. Yeah.
They're bringing it in more and more. And actually, PlayStation's trying. Granted, they didn't make the PlayStation Eye completely for that, but it does have a double microphone. But Kinect is really focusing on it. Madden.
Yeah, they use it in Madden. You can audible through the Kinect. You can,
really?
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yeah, you can
We're
yell
gonna
out.
have to
You
check
can yell
that
out your
out,
audibles and change the play right there.
But and another thing is you can give silent commands as well, like hand commands like this.
Right.
And so, which is totally, this is totally like helping you on an audio cast.
Yeah.
Because you can totally see my hand.
Yeah, I can see what his hands are.
Well, fortunately, the Kinect
Welcome
would be
to
able to see that.
Mimecast.
So,
Just for all of you who are hearing impaired, we also have someone doing sign language during our podcast.
Not at all.
They can't hear you, Deborah.
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead, Sue. Introduce yourself. She says hi.
To bring it back a little bit,
Oh man!
actually, what you were talking about giving commands reminds me of one of my other, I guess the closest thing to a war game that I actually play often, which is Star Wars Battlefront.
oh man, it's such a fun game.
It's very fun, and you do have the capability as your one character to stand near a couple of others and say, give me cover fire. And if your level is high enough, they will listen to you. And if you have just been dying over and over again, they don't listen to you anymore.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's funny because they only had that in the first Battlefront. It's not in the second
I
Battlefront.
didn't know that.
Yeah, it was my favorite part of it. You could tell them, cover me, or send someone off in a direction.
Well, the other, to kind of add on to the comment of voice commands, and again, right now it's big with Microsoft, and I think it's going to happen with the next wave of PlayStations, but later this year or the first of next year, when Windows 8 comes out, your computer, your PC, is going to be connected to the Xbox 360, and again, Madden specifically on Windows 8 tablets are going to give you the ability to draw plays on the tablet that are usable in the game. Now, granted, I bought Madden for PS3 because I bought Madden for PS3 forever.
Shiny.
But it makes me want to buy it again when that comes out because I'm very curious to see how that works. Again, my wife is scowling at me. Why would you buy a game twice? And it's because I'm...
Well, you just
For that level of
They'll-
change.
Or
If
I
it-
could
if
actually
it-
buy the game and
No,
for
it's-
Xbox and
yeah.
so on.
And if you got it early, I mean, if it comes out, depending on when that kind of technology comes out, it'll probably be in Madden 14.
14, yeah.
So.
So,
Wow.
there you go. You're getting more of that ability. You're going to have your regular control to handle things, but then you can have your tablet next to you that's like, I need you to do cover fire, or I need you to go look over here as a mini-map of sorts. The Wii U, that same idea where you've got that second screen that can be used to make different things while your primary controller is being used. People want to be immersed in the system. Realism, though, how real is even that? I mean, yeah, you're able to talk to people, but you're not able to, like, pick up somebody and throw them 100 feet away and say, hey, I need you to look at what's going on over there. So, that...
Thinking about, we were talking about a couple different games, older games, Battlefront, things like that. I'm reminded of the original Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. In the original Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, you can actually, you're given your objective, you're shown an actual heads-up display map, and you're given a certain amount of teams that you can put together. And then those teams you can lay out and say, okay, we want you to be our breach team. We want you to go around the back and cover the back, and and you'll give them specific waypoints. And then the guys that you're with, now obviously it's a PC game, so you have to do everything on your keyboard. But you can have them like hold, and you can have them do cover fire. You can have one of them throw in a flashbang into a room or something like that, which was a lot of fun. And I know I've mentioned this before. We talked about it in some of our very early episodes when we talked about the different consoles. I really feel like a platform that is able to encompass all of those things, it has to be able to respond to human emotion in some way. So it's got to be some sort of a virtual reality system, because just because you go into just because Josh, you go into the same room that I went into 20 minutes ago does not mean you're going to use the same tactics that I used. And so it has to be able to fluctuate between each user, on top of the fact that if you were able to, I mean, they have the Nintendo Glove and they have the Wii and they have the Kinect. At this point, they should be able to put together even just a rudimentary virtual reality war game where you can command a small squad of 4 or 5, and you can use hand commands, and you can use verbal commands, and you can tell them, go into this room, or hold back, or, cover fire, or whatever. And even if it's like specific hand commands that they train you how to use, I can remember when Call of Duty Black Ops came out, they came with, you could get the highest edition, whatever, with it comes with all the fun, shinies, as Jeremy put it. One of the things you could get was actually a parallel to what the military uses, a voice recognition microphone that sits on your voice box, because that's what a lot of the special force teams use. That's what a lot of the SEALs use, because instead of it picking up your actual voice, it picks up the vibrations, so you can whisper and have zero volume, and you can still be heard from the rest of your squad mates through just the vibration in that. And, I mean, that kind of technology is available, so there's no reason why we couldn't use something like that to develop a more immersive game when it comes to that style of play. I think that would be a lot of fun.
I think it'll be interesting to see what they have actually available for real when I go away next couple of months to see, because I know that they have, to train you in marksmanship, I know that they have some semblance of a virtual reality type deal with weapons, that sort of thing. And I was also watching a video, I think it was several years old though, but they actually have like positioning like laser type things, but I don't think they actually use laser, but receptors on your helmet and on your body, and so if you get shot, your gun actually won't fire anymore.
Oh wow.
So when you're simulating entering a building and enemy combatants are in there, they can actually shoot you and be like, I can't fire anymore. Okay, you're dead.
Yeah.
Drop.
Yep.
So
there was an infrared game from when I was a kid that you'd have like a little suit on your chest and a suit on your back kind of a thing, and your guns would shoot infrared signals or something, and if it hit the sensor, you were out, or the lights flashed.
Similar to like laser tag.
I was going to say, I was thinking of laser tag is what I'm
I actually
imagining.
know the game you're talking about, and it actually had like, if it's the same game I'm thinking of, it had a component where you could, if you didn't have a friend to play with, you could play it with the TV, and it would pick up that same infrared signal because it was the same as the remote control.
right. Now, do you think you can actually get realism in a board game?
Depends what kind of realism you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we need to define what you mean by that.
Like when I first started, if you take the realism as the form of strategy, like Don was talking earlier, that when generals or stuff, of course I don't know, but I assume that when generals and stuff are planning out strategic movements and stuff, they sit down with some kind of map and they have troops and they, move people around, and that's very real. Now, there is an avenue in board games that you play, like Risk and Axis and Allies, the war game, that kind of stuff, where you are literally doing those movements. They just happen to have instantaneous results by the enemies being present. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right. And I guess the die roll will simulate something catastrophic happening,
Or
the
morale of troops, or
yeah.
ill supply, stuff like that. Jeremy?
Chess challenges can get you into things like that. and gosh, I had another thought, but I'm spacing now.
Well,
Wasn't there the real-time fighting chess game where you have the pawn can technically beat the queen if the two players can fight it out? And
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen that.
Oh wow.
human chess,
Battle
There's,
chess.
battle
Yeah,
chess.
human
yeah,
chess.
battle chess. I think is what it was. Yeah.
I know this isn't completely a war
Is that
game.
like Wizard's Chess?
Kinda.
Sorry, Ender's Game. Ender's Game is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
In that, while we might not have the scale or the scope to create environments based on what's actually happening within Ender's Game, essentially they had a computer system, or in this case, a board game you could use, which mimicked the interface of the battle. So as you were moving units around, you were actually controlling real units off in space.
I see.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Oh my god, don't do that to me, Josh. Okay, so apparently I've completely lost my thought. No, I didn't. There, it's back. Tabletop just recently did.
Wow.
Yeah, but Tabletop just recently did Pandemic, which I've heard quite a few people. I know it's not a big war game, but the idea is
It's an apocalyptic game.
Apocalyptic, but it's disease is spreading. And they
It's
really,
fun.
they focus
Yeah,
on when you
fun.
look at over a certain period of time or whatever, the disease continues to spread. So as it gets worse in one city, up to a certain level of 3, I think it was, 1 plus a 4, then an outbreak would occur, which means that it spreads to the adjacent cities. So there's a reality to that. That's exactly what happens. When
Well, and
something
it's
gets
also-
so bad, it will spread to the next city.
A Pandemic is also a game where it's the players versus the game.
Right.
So, I mean, I think you can play up to 5, and so you're talking about a situation where, similar to, we were joking about the Postcards from a Dungeon, but you're in a zombie apocalypse or you're in a viral apocalypse, and you are 5 survivors that are trying to assist each other in finding a cure to beat the game, and how quickly that virus can really, just... Like, it doesn't matter. Viruses...
Go out of control.
Right. Well, viruses have no emotion, so, they're never going to stop. And the same with a tank. I mean, a tank has no emotion.
I
It's just
hope
gonna
that you
roll over
can stop the. Oh wait!
No.
Wait for me!
They actually made that game for the 64. It's called Blast Corps.
That's right. That's right.
It takes to come alive.
I just wanted to
Me.
try and tie Pandemic back into our theme there.
That's fine.
Got to get moving.
So I mean, there's of course it's not the same realism of being able to wear infrared sensors and being in virtual reality and pointing and making sure that it's not the same type of realism, but there is definitely areas of realism that are in board games.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was thinking about as far as like for those general type games, general or kernel type games where you don't fully have control over what happens with your troops.
Right, you just try to put them in the best possible scenario
Right.
to hope that they're going to be successful. I mean, you could outnumber the enemy 3-1 and the enemy could still win.
Oh, certainly.
So,
It happens in Risk.
I mean, all the time.
Ultimately, wasn't that what D-Day was? Was that Eisenhower was playing an enormously huge gamble?
Yes.
Because the reality is he didn't know how each of those men were going to fight as they were hitting the beach, but he ultimately was throwing that whole army and navy at Germany and saying, I really hope I roll well on my D12s. And I know that sounds goofy, but how else can you put it? He couldn't fight for every single individual.
They use a D12 in the war game.
They do use a D12 in the war
Okay.
game. That's what that meant.
The underused D12.
Yeah.
Something I would like to see is a super realism or some kind of a super realism system for snipers, where you actually get like a scouting a scout with you and somebody to spot.
Yeah.
Something like that would be awesome.
That would
That'd
be
be
fun.
great.
It'd
That
have
would
to
be
be,
really
it
fun.
would have to be a 2-player game.
Well,
It'd
yeah.
have to be.
Oh, that would be so
Here's
fun.
Yeah,
It would be long gameplays, man.
okay. So the
Yeah,
idea
because snipers, you just wait.
Snipers wait
Yeah,
for
but you
days.
Track them and then wait.
why don't they have snipers in the war game? Because that's what you do playing the game, waiting for days to finish it.
Oh.
No,
Upgrade.
okay,
No.
sorry, my wife's gonna kill
Stop
me.
it.
Yeah.
Just stop it.
Okay, so completely not unrelated to Sarge, but now they're using something mobile devices to do augmented reality. I don't know if anybody's noticed this thing
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yep.
but you take your camera and you point it in certain areas, and then images come to life.
They have augmented reality zombie games.
They have
There's
an
a zombie running game.
There is now a Ghostbusters augmented reality game.
Is there really?
Just saw it on my the Apple Store the other day. I was like, that's
Awesome.
hilarious.
That's awesome.
But that's another way to bring realism to a game. To a board game, I don't know, unless they're using augmented reality. Like, great example, I have Judgment for the PlayStation 3, which still didn't play very much of, but the idea behind it was is you put your card down, the camera would read the card, and now on the screen
3D
you
image
see
pops up on the screen.
So the same thing could easily be done in augmented reality now with board games, where you would see, you know,
I
these
could not.
codes.
I mean, board games, yes. I could not imagine watching someone play an augmented war game in public with a mobile device. Like,
That'd be hilarious.
what is
thing
that
is-
kid in the mall doing? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he's getting arrested.
To the patent office.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure that the PlayStation handheld has a game like that, where it's partially augmented reality, and you can come in contact with someone else that's playing the same game. They show on the commercial, they show like the kid gets on the bus and the other person on the bus is playing the same game, and then they can fight against each other or fight together against
Yeah.
this thing that's in.
Oh, that's pretty.
That's
I know
out on the
that. I think
sidewalk
the
of the
3DS
bus.
does that too. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
The
like
Vita just added that because it's now
Bump
the
Daddy or whatever
camera.
it's called. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you need like sunglasses or something like that. Some sort of glasses that.
Oh yeah,
Like with a headset device. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can fall asleep on the bus and never get off of it.
Well, it's
Ride
yeah,
around
it's,
on your
it's,
BMX.
That's right.
It's like the commercials when this was very first starting the whole augmented reality, when they would show the cellular devices, they would hold them up and it would show like all the comments that people had left for places. You know, like I ate at this restaurant, it was really great. And then Derek wants to go there, he could take his phone, point it at the restaurant, and it'll show my comment because it sticks with the place. It's just kind of a neat, you know.
Yeah, I think our friend Anton was talking a while back about people who do geocaching, augmented reality, where you get a coordinates just like you would geocaching, and you go, and then you use your mobile device or whatever to see whatever the image that someone left was. And I thought that was a
That
fun
was
concept and a horrible waste of gas.
that was something I found really really attractive in the game Deus Ex, is imagining some kind of an actual augmented reality system where I get to walk around and look at, hey, there's a waypoint over here where all my friends are hanging out.
You're seeing. The funny thing is we're talking about realism, making a game seem more real to us. In more modern games, Uncharted is a perfect example. They're out now implementing the modern world into the game, as in you're playing a character who is, I need to remember that, pulls out his smartphone and takes a picture and puts it away. Yeah. So they're making that character act exactly like you were. It's like, I really need to remember this. You take a note, or you send yourself an email, or take a picture. They're doing that now. They're bringing the real world into the gaming world.
Ugh. On the next Tales of the Crypt.
Oh, that's Twilight Zone.
That's not it. That's not it.
When the real world enters the video game world.
No.
Thanks, Josh.
So, I guess as we're wrapping up here and we're talking about realism, is there ever like a limit to realism? Obviously, Derek doesn't want one. Derek wants to be able to run around in his virtual reality suit, and if he gets shot, he wants to fall down and have to go to the hospital. Obviously. But, you know, is there ever a point, or do we ever think that it's going to get to a point where, you know, people are going to have rooms that are going to be like a danger room from like the X-Men, that are going to literally, you're going to walk in and you're going to be immersed into a game where literally if I put my hand up, they can shoot my hand because it's out from behind cover. I mean, do we think that's where it's
coming.
going?
Yeah.
That's going to be a great arcade experience. It's going to be awesome to have places like that set up, and you can go do that. It'll be like going to play laser tag, but it'll be way more integrated, way more immersive, and all kinds of. I don't know how exactly you'll be able to see what.
Well, I think that you
see
just
in the
do it
world,
with
but-
glasses. I mean, they can do it with cell phones. They have 3D glasses. The technology, all they have to
See,
do
but
is
I wear
merge it.
glasses, and then when I put 3D glasses on, I just
Sony-
feel really goofy.
You could just be. I mean, you could
You don't have to look cool in order to be effective.
Sure. It's super expensive.
I don't know about that.
Sony's
I don't live in that world.
Sony has floating around. It's actually a device designed to take HDMI and I think a USB feedback or whatever. That is a 3D Blu-ray helmet. Is the idea? It's a high definition helmet with 3D on it. You add in a gyroscope that determines location and then interaction of some sort here, whether it be via cameras in the room, like a bunch of Kinects.
You just have motion capture gloves. I mean, they do it for the movies and stuff.
So it's the technology's there. It's just expensive technology. That Sony helmet is $800.
The holodeck is
they
coming.
had it on. Thank you. I was just getting ready to say they had it on the Enterprise. Why can't we have it now?
Well, I think
We have every other style.
Wasn't that the 23rd century?
We have every other style minus phasers and the holodeck. We have almost every other style of technology.
Well, that
they have on the
transporter,
Enterprise.
maybe not
how
so
about
much.
the warp
No,
drive?
that's not true.
warp drive,
That's not true.
transporter.
Pretty sure we're missing the
You've been
warp
transported?
drive.
Well,
They've
okay.
transported an atom about 3 inches, but they've transported it.
we
it's
found a
developing.
Higgs boson now, so I mean,
Yeah, that does
Yeah.
something that has to do with warp,
Yeah.
right? Time travel,
The apparent
hoverboard.
God
You don't
particle.
need warp speed if you're not leaving the atmosphere.
there
If
is
you're
an
just standing
interesting
in the room playing a game, you don't need it.
there is an interesting psychological aspect to this, though, in that maybe there's a generational gap thing here, where the older generations maybe we'll be that generation, in that when stuff like this comes along, will we hit an uncanny valley, like with dolls or robotics? You get to a point where people just become disgusted that it's not human enough to be realistic. So, but there's still the sense that they're trying too hard, and it becomes
Sort of like AI.
Yeah, and there's that happens in 3D animation too. Like with the Final Fantasy movie that came out, it looked creepily real. So I feel like everyone I know was like, you have to remind yourself that it's 3D and that it's not real and that it's fake. So you push that. So you push that it's not reality.
Avatar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But still, to this day, it shocked me how real those looked for
yeah.
being
They're
CGI.
blue.
It's creepy.
Well,
It's like they
obviously
had to do
take
that.
the sci-fi part of it, but
Gollum in the Lord of the Rings.
That's a good point.
I mean, because honestly, you look at Gollum and do you sit there and go, he's CGI invented. He's really
No,
not there.
I
No,
just
you look at him and go,
I think
he's
Andy
Gollum. It's
Serkis
creepy.
is having a bad hair day.
No, he's having a bad throat day, maybe.
But yeah, I mean, I see what you're getting at, and I mean,
we're all excited
You're just
about
the
these
soundboard
ideas,
for this
but
episode.
if these ideas actually came to be developed, it might be something that we actually don't enjoy.
well, then that opens doors for everything, because I mean, once you start having the ability to play games in your living room that are really, you dress it up as it becomes this big huge battlefield. Now, it's not unfathomable that the military already has this technology and they're fighting wars from bunkers through,
Exoskeleton
robots.
suits.
Actually, this actually reminded me. There's a book called Ready Player One, and it's about the far future where energy is way too expensive. So people have gone into this virtual reality game, and most of the people just live in the game because it's a lot better than what reality is.
Bruce Willis just released a movie about that. I'm totally forgetting
yeah,
the
that
name
was just
right
a
now.
couple years ago.
Is it?
Surrogates. That's it.
Surrogates.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ready
well-
Player One, that's the one with the Easter egg hunt?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's the '80s one.
Did Will Wheaton
So-
have something to do with that?
Yes, it did.
That's what I thought.
He recorded the audiobook version of it, and it's awesome.
There's a movie that's similar to that called The Gamer.
Yeah, Gamer.
with Gerard Butler in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
gonna say, I remember that
it's very much
storyline
that
being
exact
similar.
thing.
I never
Except
saw
it is reality that looks like a video game.
It's all of Ragar's worst fears come to life.
Well, I mean that's pretty much. I mean it's pretty much, in the premise of the movie, without spoiling it too much, is that this guy is a soldier and he is being controlled via circuit chip inserted into his brain by a player, and he's playing in what would be a first-person shooting game, but he's a real-life person being controlled by someone else. So it's just, I mean,
this is also like the plot of the Matrix. I mean,
true. I mean,
in
to an
the
extent,
Matrix, everybody believes that they're looking at reality, but what they're
Right.
really looking at is digital. And the question that the first one brought up is really good. It's like, do we want? I mean, there was a question that was brought up. It was like the computers created the perfect reality, and humanity rejected it.
Yep.
And so they had to create something that was less than perfect
That was
for
flawed.
people,
Right.
something flawed. And so I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know if we want to live in a world of our own creation. I don't know if that's psychologically good.
Maybe we already are.
Fracking toasters.
Maybe that's why.
Amen.
Maybe that's why I like the board game aspect. Is
you go.
I know that I'm separated from my game. I'm not so drowned in it that I can't figure out that the little battleship is a little plastic battleship.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, just to be fair here, I mean, obviously, if technology gets to that level on console games or in whatever you're going to call them at that time, holodecks. But I mean, good lord, board games are just right behind them. You're going to literally, it might still be a board, but you'll move a piece, and then
Everything around you.
everything around you, you'll be standing there watching this battle take place. I mean,
Right.
it's just. You'll just have a little analog movement to start everything.
Hey, Jeff Stein has a screenplay ready for that.
Yeah.
The idea of a board game controlling the real world.
Yeah,
Just
no,
saying.
you're right.
Do you guys ever watch the cartoon Adventure Time?
No.
I haven't heard of
this?
it.
On Adventure Time, they did an episode where the two main characters basically played Magic the Gathering against each other. But what happened was every time they would flip over their card or tap it, bring it into play, in front of them was this three-dimensional board, and it would just go boop, and the little things would grow up right in front of them. And like one of the characters grew corn. He made a land, and his land was corn. And the other one flipped over a pig, and the pig just walked across the table and started eating all the corn and got rid of all of his usable items.
Oh, I want to see that episode.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
This seems
It was
like
really cool.
virtual reality Catan.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a movie. Jumanji.
Isn't that what R2D2 and Chewbacca do on
Yeah.
the Millennium Falcon?
Yeah.
They basically play chess. with-
Battle chess.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
over.
basically what it is.
Yeah, you made a fair move.
Awesome.
So, I mean, as we wrap up here, I'm gonna let Derek say a few things. This is kind of a special episode because Derek is going to be leaving us for a while,
Learn about real war.
right? So I'm just gonna turn it over and just gonna kind of let him say, I guess, his farewell address.
My fellow American.
I won't be gone forever, I hope.
No.
Okay.
5 months.
It's a ta-ta for now.
It's a ta-ta for now.
Okay, yeah.
6 to 7, I think it was.
Yeah, it's. Don't be so happy, Raggard. I'm leaving.
Derek's going to do community service.
Yes,
Yes,
it's part of my
yes.
parole.
Yeah. A whole lot of community service.
That's what you get for tripping Cubert.
Exactly, and
Yes.
that's what I get for playing Chupa.
Yes.
I heard ta-ta for now, and I thought Tigger.
Oh.
But yes, I'm actually. Let's see here. This is releasing Friday.
Yeah.
So a week from next Monday, I will be heading off to Oklahoma to start basic combat training for the Army National Guard, although Army Reserves and regular Army are all part of that. And that's going to last, hopefully, 10 weeks. Well, technically 12 because there's a holiday in there. Hopefully I will not get injured and therefore have to be recycled, what they call recycled, which means I have to be in another platoon, and that gets elongated and everybody gets just very
They
unhappy.
recycle people?
They recycle people. I'm not
Like
joking.
Soylent Green.
Apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
Your inner Incredible Hulk will come out.
Yes. Oh, yeah, totally. It's I can already feel it. And yeah, they also gas you with CS gas. So, and the doctor is right now giving a horrid expression. So
You
yes,
could only see my face.
yeah, you actually have to take off your gas mask and you have to breathe in deeply the CS gas. and then you have to run away.
Stay in there until they call your name or
Yep.
something.
Yeah, I have to say my name, my rank, and my social security number. Yep.
So they're trying to kill their army, is what I'm understanding. This is productive.
Make us tougher.
They just want you to be able to
Inoculate.
experience it, so that way, if it happens,
you don't freak out and scream like a girl.
You have to experience a flashbang too, I believe.
No, you have to throw grenades though, which are going to be fun.
My brother-in-law was a military police officer, and they flashbanged him.
Oh, that may be for the MOS
Just remember-
advanced
Yeah.
training.
Pull the pin, throw the grenade.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
5.
Grenade,
3,
throw
sir.
the pen.
3.
That's right.
Oh, okay. So I'm not supposed to throw the grenade, go pick it up, and then pull the pin out.
Bad plan.
But then I've
You're
got.
not supposed to throw the pin and drop the grenade.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
But then I'm also going to advance right afterwards, advanced individual training to become a cook.
Where you'll be flashbanged.
Which I will be flashing by pastry.
Let's see you make a souffle in this.
But yeah, that's 8 weeks. So I'm hoping to be back on the podcast around April, which will be around the next time our heroes.
Yeah, we should
Yeah.
be in the middle of the Heroes
Yeah.
tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will.
So, anyways, I am happy that I'm able to miss the heroes of this year as well as the villains from this year. So I'm keeping everything consistent. But anyways, I will see you guys when I get back, and I'll have wonderful stories, and I'll be sending
Breathing in
mail,
weird gas.
mail to Josh, and I may send notes to you guys. And
Again, don't send it via military mail.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, seriously.
I'll try not to, but you know.
Okay.
All right, guys. See ya for now.
So, as we wrap up, last episode we spoke to Bob Salvatore, and we established that through the acts of gaming and gaming alone is the branch of peace into the New England area. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you just need to go listen to the show from last time and realize that we live in Indiana.
Yes.
We Indiana, home
Indianapolis.
Go Colts.
The
Go
Indianapolis
Colts.
Okay.
It's very
So now that's
Chuck
covered.
Strong.
People also often understand.
Amen,
Gen
Chuck
Con.
Strong.
Amen, Chuck Strong. That's
and there's
right.
corn.
So,
And tornadoes.
Yes, the established facts would like to officially state they are Chuck Strong.
We are Chuck
Absolutely.
Strong.
Ah,
Yes.
today, I would like to establish, and this is kind of an honorary established fact in honor of Derek. Just because you see it, you feel it, you smell it, or even taste it in a game, remember, we have real heroes that live it every day.
Amen.
Hua.
Twist it,
Here,
pop
here.
it, turn it.
Chupa, 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 chupa.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night,
Guys,
everybody.
see ya.
See you.
Please visit us at www.theestablishedfacts.com and our Facebook page, facebook.com/theestablishedfacts. If you would like to support us by buying some merchandise, visit cafepress.com/castingrobot.
Bonus.